Our next theme is challenging prejudice and building tolerance. It says that humans have propensity towards prejudice. This propensity lies in their normal tendency to form generalization and categories whose content represents an oversimplification of the world of experience. Kumbaga, it says here that we human had the tendency to judge or to be a judgmental that affects a person's dignity or affects its personality. Kumbaga, we have this nature as a person that once we see na mali or negative sa isang tao or sa opinion natin, minsan we are judgmental sa in the way of person's behavior. And ito yung sinasabi I think dito. And prejudice is a negative feeling or attitude towards a person or a group even if it lacks basis. We also have stereotype. It refers to negative opinion about a person or group based on incomplete knowledge. This is all challenging the negatives prejudice para magkapatid yung prejudice and stereotype. Lastly, and sa tingin ko, this is familiar to us, discrimination. Discrimination refers to negative actions towards a specific group that may be manifested in avoidance, aversion, or even violence. Yan, minsan ang tao nagdi-discriminate depende sa race, sa environment, sa religious belief, or sometimes sa physical appearance that we sometimes being judgmental. Next slide. And then building tolerance. Building tolerance and respect for diversity has become an imperative in a world where tolerance for differences has become a justification for violence. Kumbaga, it says here to to prevent violence or the justification for violence is tolerance. Kumbaga, but sa tingin ko, I think I will not agree sa tolerance. Kumbaga, sabi dito, acceptance ng ng pagkakamali ng isang tao. But I think for me the good term that should be used here is understanding. Kasi kung ikaw tatanungin as a person, I think alin ba ang pipiliin mo? Yung i-tolerate ka sa pagkakamali mo or i-open up yung pagkakamali mo para maitama. And I think ako kung mas pipiliin ko yung i-correct ako and sasabihin yung pagkakamali ko para at least ma-inform ako or ma-realize ko yung pagkakamali ko kaysa itong tolerate mo yung pagkakamali ng isang tao, which means pag hindi mo na open up sa kanya, parang hindi niya yan ma-recognize as pagkakamali. At sa tingin ko, kaya papatuloy niya lang yung pagkakamali niya. Kaya for me, I think for violence or to prevent violence or conflict, I think it's best to have the word understanding kaysa tolerance. And yun man lang ang sa tingin ko. In my opinion lang po, that tolerance is the justification for violence. Kumbaga, tolerate mo lang yung pagkakamali ng isang tao para mag-prevent ng conflict. Next, types of prejudice. We have racism, superior belief of their own race and cultural heritage, the lack of respect and appreciation of other different race. Sexism, an attitude that subordinate other, that usual victims are humans. Yung sexism, sa tingin ko, since yung racism is familiar sa atin, dito lang tayo sa sexism. Sexism daw is yung attitude ng isang tao which subordinates, kumbaga, para mababa yung tingin natin sa ibang tao. And mostly, the victims are the women. We have also heterosexism. Same din siya sa sexism, but it is towards the lesbians and gays. It's like negative attitude. We have classism, is the distancing from and perceiving the poor as the other. Kumbaga, parang sa classism, we are parang nasupog kita, or yun nga, may COVID ata ang pagtingin sa mga mahirap kasi may distancing. But I think yan, nahihiya sila na for having sa mga poor people. We also have linguicism, a negative attitude of dominant language groups holding against non-dominant language groups. Maybe natindahan naman po natin. Yung next is age. A negative attitude held against the young or elderly. Ang ageism daw, yung garong discrimination siya. Para din siya ang sexism, but ang ano niya is it's against to the young and elderly. Parang yun din, same din. Mababang pagtingin, garong yung capability tsaka yung capacity pagtingin sa young. Yan. For being judgmental also sa elderly. Next is loxism, prejudice against those who do not measure up the standard of beauty. The usual victims are the overweight, undersized, and the dark skinned. Next are the religious intolerance, prejudice against those who are followers of religion other than one's own. Kumbaga dito, mas sa religious intolerance, against sila sa followers of religion, more on religious matter. So how can we prevent prejudice? By education, educating tolerance, and education for tolerance and respect. One effective way to challenge prejudice is by teaching tolerance. And tolerance, from Merriam-Webster, is the capacity to endure pain or hardship. Comes from the root word tolerate, which means to allow all to be done without prohibition, hindrance, or contradiction. Yan, parang acceptance. But for me talaga is best to have the word understanding. Education for tolerance and respect. Tolerance is not just tolerating what is unjust, but is respecting, accepting, and appreciating the rich diversity of cultures and various forms of human expression. It aims to counter influence leading to fear, discrimination, and exclusion for others. It recognizes the right of mankind as individuals. So, ito yung importance ng tolerance and respect para yung prejudice is maiwasan. Yan. To recognize the rights of mankind as individual. Next is